This is TWiT.
Don't miss All About Android every week. We talk about the latest news, hardware, apps, and now all the developer-y goodness happening in the Android ecosystem. I'm Jason Howell, also joined by Ron Richards, Florence Ion, and our newest co-host on the panel, Wen Tu Dao, who brings her developer chops. Really great stuff. We also invite people from all over the Android ecosystem to talk about this mobile platform we love so much. Join us every Tuesday, All About Android on twit.tv.
All right. So, as some of you know, a little history lesson. Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft, no longer there, resigned kind of abruptly from the board. And then we got news that, well, maybe that was because of an investigation that was going on about Bill and a consensual relationship with a subordinate inside Microsoft.
That's what he said. That's not what she said.
Oh, interesting. So Microsoft did have to, and I think appropriately so, commission an independent review. And that review is out, right?
That's right. So this isn't the first time this has happened with Gates. You know, Gates is one of those troubling people in our industry because, you know, like a lot of people are driven and, near genius in one capacity aren't necessarily great in other aspects of life. And we don't need to beat that one to death. But the weird thing about Bill Gates, I think, is most people will always associate him with Microsoft. And I bet if you did one of those Jay Leno men on the street things and just asked who's the CEO of Microsoft, I bet a lot of people would say Bill Gates. He's just associated with the company. I don't remember the timing of all this stuff, but of course, at some point he stepped down as CEO and Steve Ballmer became CEO. And then he stepped down from day to day at some point to work on his philanthropy stuff, which raises another, interesting problem. There was a Gates documentary that I think landed during the pandemic, which was a bald-faced attempt to make him seem like a kindly old man who was out to save the world from mosquitoes and toilets and things like that. I don't remember the exact details, but that really stepped very lightly on his many problems, which I thought was disingenuous, frankly. But, Microsoft, for all of the good vibes, I think that have come out of the Satya Nadella era at Microsoft, I think the one thing they haven't got a handle on yet is this poorly behaving middle-aged white man thing, for lack of a better term. This has been a problem in the tech industry since it's been a tech industry. It's been a problem for Microsoft since it's been a Microsoft. It's continuing to this day, unfortunately. They now say they're going to do something about it. And I'll take them at their word. I mean, I think Microsoft is well run today and generally speaking, it has its heart in the right place, so to speak, if that makes sense for a company. But they had to go to Gates and be like, hey, Microsoft president Brad Smith went to Gates and said, hey, this woman said you've been doing this or whatever. He claimed it was consensual, and then he stepped down from the board. And so when Satya Nadella came back, Bill Gates actually came back to Microsoft in a limited role as an advisor to Satya Nadella. So he has actually been more involved over the past several years than he had been the previous several years. But he was also on the board this whole time. So he's no longer, I would say, I think I'm correct to say now, he has no formal role at Microsoft anymore, right? Except as a shareholder. So I believe. Anyway, it's good to see that the board of directors took this seriously eventually. They finally did. They did go to an outside review. They've released 100 and how many pages? The 50-page report, I'm sorry.
It's a little
identified a bunch of problems,
though, that Microsoft hasn't improved under Nadella,
right?
Which is one of the conclusions that they came up with. I find
that's funny because I've been saying that. I mean, that when you look at people like what's the guy that used to run HoloLens, Alex Kipman had this problem.
Yeah,
there have been other examples of this. The guy Mike Angelo had issues like this. He used to work on the Windows team under Steven Sinofsky. It's been an issue. It's been an ongoing issue. Now, granted, some of that predates Nadella, but I think what we're seeing here is Microsoft finally addressing this and doing so in a very transparent and public way. They are going to undertake all of the recommendations that were offered by the independent review, and they're going to be transparent and public going forward about this on a regular basis. And hopefully this kind of thing can't happen again, it's kind of tough when it's someone like Gates, obviously, because he's an industry icon and it's not the type of person a lot of people can say no to. And I mean that on, broadly, but this notion of harassment, or I don't know what you want to call it. I'm looking for a clean word here, but is a problem. It's always been a problem in tech. And I think the good news out of this is that it took a while, but it does look like this is going to be that one part of Microsoft under Nadella that really didn't rise to the level that we kind of expected this man and this company. And it looks like they're going to turn it around. So maybe there's no reason to beat it to death, but it's disappointing.
Let's keep an eye on it, because you could put out the report and not do anything. So,
yeah, I mean, Brad Smith is a lot of things, but Brad, he has been very public and vocal about Microsoft as an agent of good and a company that's trying to do the right thing, whether it's, environmental or just for the industry or just even morally or whatever, which is kind of goofy, but this is overdue, but I bet they do pretty well by this.
You point out in your article that Gates left when he was confronted by Smith. Brad Smith confronted Bill Gates. So good for Brad
Gates said
Smith.
It was consensual. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Smith's a lawyer, right? He understands that he has liability. The company has liability. So, there's good reason. And if you say something as a public company, you say you're going to fix something, you kind of have to fix it.
Yep. That's right. Yeah. Actually, the reason this occurred was there was an overwhelming shareholder vote to make this happen. So, one thing that was communicated to Microsoft very effectively was that the people who are the real owners of this company want this to be fixed. And they heard that loud and clear. So I think it's going to go in the right direction. I hope. I don't know. I don't like this kind of thing, but hopefully it is rectified.
Yeah.